What's up everybody, it's Truman here, and I'm finally back doing videos. I know it's been a long break, and it's a break I didn't have a choice taking. If you all follow me on Twitter, you saw that I posted about my motherboard shorting and my power supply shorting. And if you follow my Twitter, you also saw that I finally got it rebuilt. I went from an AMD FM1 and went from it to AMD AM3 Plus FX 6100. I can already tell you I've noticed a huge difference running games, stuff like that, trying to like test recordings. You'd be amazed what that kind of upgrade can do. Anyway, I know it's been a while, so we're gonna come back into something kind of easy for me to record today. Armored Warfare, you know that big thing everybody had a big stink over because Obsidian left or got the boot or something. I'm not getting in on that. But anyway, Armored Warfare, they did one of their big updates. I believe this was an 11 some odd gig update. They added 26 new vehicles. I think it was 6 new maps. Anyway, one of the vehicles they added kind of caught my eye, not because it's big, powerful, anything like that. It's because of how impressively simple the concept was. You take an M113 armored personnel carrier, you bolt on some additional armor. Well, I say additional, there's like 3/4 an inch additional. You leave the pintle-mounted commander's 50, and you put an M40 105mm recoilless gun on it. It's that easily you've got a at least a simple fire support vehicle. In Armored Warfare, I think they class it as a tank destroyer. That thing would never, well, for the time, probably M113s, you had Vietnam, yeah, that would work for a tank destroyer. 105mm heat. Anyway, let's go into the history of it a little bit. In 1962, when the first M113s arrived in Vietnam, they were given to the Army of the Republic of Vietnam to use. In March of '62, consignments of 32 M113s that were on their way to Europe were diverted and also given to the ARVN. Many of the M113s had been outfitted with the A kit, according to some soldiers. I was reading a soldier's memoir. This is where a lot of this came from. They just called it the A kit. This modification changed the classification of the ACAV to the 113A, and ACAV armored cavalry assault vehicle. I almost said armored combat, no, armored cavalry. The kit included hatch armor, a 50 caliber gun shield, 2 elbow pintle mounted, and for people that don't know, the elbow mount is to the left and right side of the vehicle mounts, the gun shields for the M60 machine guns, and a 3rd removable M60 pintle on the rear hatch as an alternate mounting for rear firing. Now, I'm no combat specialist, I'm not any kind of tactician, but if I'm falling back in an armored vehicle, my first thought is not going to be, let's sit on the back of this vehicle and fire this machine gun. You're in an armored box, albeit that armored box 50 will go through, but I digress. Like I said, I'm no specialist in this. Although not part of the kit, many crews lining the floor of the M113A with sandbags. That was protection against mines. The first M113s are powered by a 209 horsepower Chrysler S75M gasoline engine. 209 horsepower to something made out of aluminum, basically. That's going to get her up there. In '64, the 113s have been superseded by the updated 113A1. The A1 was fitted with a General Motors 215 horsepower diesel a diesel, which gave them an improved performance level over the early M113s. For the M113 crew, you had a crew of 2. In Armored Warfare, we have a crew of 3 total. Yeah, 3. Your commander, your driver, and gunner loader. In the standard 113s, you had a crew of 2, a commander and a driver. They could carry 11 soldiers and their equipment. The driver sat on the left-hand side of the vehicle and had a good field of vision through 4 periscopes that were mounted in a cupola, and I believe that cupola is modeled. Yes, it is. I'm going between my script and the game if anybody wonders. But of course this will be over just gameplay footage. Yeah, cupola with 5 periscopes. The commander also acted as the gunner and operated the 50 caliber machine gun. This could be rotated a full 360 to give an all-around field of fire if needed. The ammo for the 50 was stored in portable boxes behind the infantryman's seats. The original 50 cal gunner position was exposed and very unprotected. Yeah, no, I mean it's just a 50 mounted on a pintle. I mean there's nothing really there. After a battle on January 2nd, 1963 at Atback, and I know for sure I'm probably butchering that. Atback, yeah, AP space BAC, close enough. 14 ARVN M113 gunners were killed. After that, they developed a combination shield and turret, which was designed to afford a much-needed protection for the gunner, which was also your commander, so it'd probably be a good thing to have that. I don't know why that wouldn't be a stock feature. That, however, was eventually fitted to all production M113s. The armor of the M113, which varied in thickness from 3/4 inch to a maximum of 1 1/4. And in Armored Warfare, I can't even find a total for it. I mean, to me, it's that minuscule. They didn't put a total. The thickness provided protection from small arms, AK, Mosin, stuff like that. Your typical Viet Cong weaponry. But would not stop rounds from Soviet-made RPG-7s. Yeah, that's a problem. A lot of those in Vietnam. Almost had a blast from landmines. Yeah, that's another big problem. A lot of them. One of the best features of the M113 was its ability to operate in an amphibious role without specialist preparation. The hull of the M113 was constructed as a watertight unit. So it tells me all its weld seams, it's all welded, it was all done together. All its hatches and doors were fitted with rubber seals, so I mean you're completely watertight there. Which makes me also wonder, would it be airtight? And the front of the vehicle was fitted with a hinged breakwater plate. So basically you have a bow welded to it, basically. And the amphibious roll of the 113 was propelled by its tracks. This is further enhanced by the rubber track shroud on each side of the hull, giving M113 a top speed of 3 miles an hour through water. Wow. That's not fast, but that's something. The 1963-1964 track links were made 15 inches wide and of a swivel link type, housed in rubber bushings to give them maximum elasticity. The tracks themselves ran on 10 pairs of 24-inch aluminum road wheels. If there are 10 pairs total, there's 5 on each side. No, could have worded that better. There's 10 total, 5 pairs of 2. Yeah. 24-inch aluminum road wheels. They were in turn fitted with a solid rubber tire 2 1/8 inch thick. The lifespan of the M113 was supposed to be about 3,000 miles. That's quite a good distance for a tracked vehicle. But this was regularly exceeded and has been known to go as high as 9,000 miles. 3 times the track life. That's something when you're... I can't get tires that'll last 3 times the supposed lifespan of their tire. Here we can make tracks that last 3 times. 1965 to 66. Some of the first M113s were converted to the Armored Cavalry Assault Vehicle, which we see in Armored Warfare, by fitting them with side-mounted M60s and gun shields. Sandbags were placed on the floor of the inner troop compartment to absorb some of the blast from landmines. Sandbags are also placed on the outer hull, arranged as parapets around the troop compartments, so as to allow the infantry to fire over the sides. That's an interesting idea. As well as using sandbags to absorb the blast from mines, or ACAVs. I'm just going to say that, and that's going to be simpler than the whole spiel. Were also fitted with titanium plates beneath the belly of the troop compartment. That made the vehicles heavier, so that kind of messed up some track life and road wheel life. Other modes to change the M113 ACAVs involved ripping out all but the driver's seat to make room for the carrying of essentials like loads of ammo. So you were basically in a rolling bomb. The ammo was stacked 2 layers deep and wall to wall in the troop compartment. God, I hope you hope you'd never get hit with a mine or an RPG in that event. As well as much ammo as they could carry in the ACAV space was also filled with the crew's kit bags, spare gun barrels, water, sea rations, crew weapons, grenades, toolbox, and a set of towing cables. Once again, I'm no specialist here, but wouldn't make a bit more sense to mount towing cables and like pioneering type tools on the outside of the vehicle, like how you see with tanks. And I have to laugh, these vehicles are cheaper than a new Ford Focus. At the time they were made, they were $22,000 a vehicle. It's kind of unbelievable that an armored fighting vehicle, basically, can be made for cheaper than a Ford Focus. Now, I could find references to the M113 having the the M40 recoilless rifle, but I couldn't find any exact specification of this was the version of it and this was the kit that was designated for it. But, we'll look here just to give some general idea of the vehicle size. There's a length of 191.5 inches, a width of 105 3/4 inches, and a height of 86.5 inches. It's not a super tall vehicle. Yeah, it's not super tall. A ground clearance of 16 inches. It's better ground clearance than some vehicles I know of. For the time, torsion bar suspension, a speed of 44 miles an hour, set 209, yeah, that's 209 horsepower, 44 miles, it's not bad. The thing I wrote is radius, but it's your distance on one fill up of fuel is supposed to be approximately 200 miles on that 215 horsepower GM diesel engine. And that 200 miles will be obtained with 95 gallons of fuel. It's an impressive little vehicle. All in all, I mean, it's a fun vehicle in the game. You're not going to take a whole lot of hits, but it's a fun vehicle. Whether or not this exact version existed in real life, I can't say. I'm not a specialist in this field. I'm not a military historian. That's what I was looking for earlier. This is just what I can find from looking. Anyway, I think this has been long enough. It's a 15-minute video now. Anyway, it's been long enough. And I hope you all enjoyed the video, the whole normal spiel. Anyway, I'm glad to be back making them. Hope you all enjoy.